that is a resource-based economy, machines free people. You see, we can't imagine that because we've never known that kind of world.
If we look back at history, we see a very clear pattern of machine automation slowly replacing human labor. From the disappearance of the elevator man to the near full automation of an automobile production plant, the fact is, as technology grows, the need for humans in the workforce will continually be diminished. This creates a serious clash, which proves the falseness of the monetary-based labor system. For human employment is in direct competition with technological development. Therefore, given the fundamental priority of profit by industry, people through time will be continually laid off and replaced by machine.
That video is from ZEITGEIST Addendum, where we are in a world where technology is replacing our slave labor, and I really emphasize the word slave labor. I once worked at a factory years ago. When I started, there was well less than half the amount of employees there was 20 years prior to when I worked there, yet their production was greater than double from that time frame. Reason why? The automation. And yet I was sitting there, ended up putting food like this, stuff robots can do, but yet it was essential to do because we are slave to the dollar system. Recently today, HP, Hewlett-Packard, announced that they were going to cut 9,000 jobs. They're going to invest in a series of commercial data centers that will offer enterprise customers a more integrated platform. As a result of the increased streamlining and automation, HP expects to cut these 9,000 jobs, or 3% of their workforce. It's basically going to save the company $1 billion, which after taxes would represent a well over $500 million. And this is all part of the serious clash right now that we have within the monetary system, for we cannot compete with competition these days and have the monetary system the way that we do. It's just not possible. These robots, technology can work more effectively, longer hours, and instead of paying them on a week-by-week, day-by-day, month-by-month basis, they pay larger costs up front with lower maintenance costs along the way. And this company right now, Hewlett-Packard, they're making approximately about $2 billion per quarter, or $8-9 billion per year, and they're doing very well. But that's the way capitalism works, whether it's a free market or a non-free market, in the sense that when you have a lot of capital, a lot of ammunition, which is resources, then it is easier to acquire more ammunition, because they say your first million is the hardest, then the next million much easier, and then you get to the point where you're making $1 million in a day, and the first billion is the hardest. Once again, the second billion takes less time, and then you get to the point where you can make $1 billion in a day. That's the power of numbers. And in a resource-based economy, which works within the resources that we have, these bugs are driving me nuts. Nonetheless, when you have a resource-based economy, that means that you put a lot of work in towards what the resources are able to do. Understand the scarcity And when there is scarcity, what can you do to get more? If, say, apples were very, very scarce, so scarce that they were $5 an apple, then all of a sudden, production of apples just plummeted to the upside, skyrocketed. Now all of a sudden, these apples are $1/4 a piece. So before, for $5, you used to be able to get 1 apple. Now you'd be able to get 20 based on the supply and the demand. And because we have a system which has guaranteed massive debt, we have central bankers that just keep pumping up the money, printing all of this excess money. Therefore, the supply of fiat dollars keeps increasing, which is why we have seen such a continuous increase of prices over the last many decades. Where before it used to cost, say, $4, $5 to fill up your vehicle, now it costs $50 or $60 to fill up your vehicle. And when you look at truth, they say the truth shall set us free, because we are in no means in a free society now, because whether you like it or not, we are slaves to the dollar. We have always been slaves for a significant amount of time, and until we as humanitarians do something about it, it's going to remain this way. Ancient slavery was where you would work slave labor, doing whatever tedious jobs, physical jobs it happened to be. And yes, it might have been cruel. You may have been whipped as you were trying to grow your vegetables or whatever. The cruelty is still there in different formats. But in the ancient slavery times, you would be fed. Maybe the food wasn't the greatest. And you would have been in a shelter situation where you would have a place to sleep. Once again, the bed may have just been a bunch of hay. Who knows? But today we're in a system where we have a slavery system on, you can pick where it is that you want to do your labor. You may not be able to get in there because your education is poor, or because of this technology, the unemployment is just continuously going higher. But for the food and the shelter, it's now up to you. Where before, if you were a slave, they would have the food and shelter for you. Today, you have to get it yourself, which thus brings the slave to debt and the dollar system. Because in order to have the food, in order to have a house and to have a bed and all that type of stuff, you have to obtain fiat dollars. But it makes this a game, a challenging game, a stressful game, a negative game, in my opinion, where we are using usury, or what we call interest on debt. And Zeitgeist explains this very well, how it is guaranteed, which is thus destroying the middle class. And when you have a capitalistic society, when you have a lot of ammunition, a lot of money, it's easier to make that money. But when you don't, it's sure damn freaking hard to get anywhere. It really, really is, especially when the debt mounts up. Oh, you're struggling, buy it on your Visa, buy it on your MasterCard. You got a mortgage, and the rates are so expensive, and the bankers are making all of this profit. Now, I'm not saying that the resource-based economy or the Venus project that Zeitgeist acknowledges is a perfect or even an amazing system, but it sure is a heck of a lot better than what we have today. Because my belief is that today we're in a world where 1%, 2, 3, 4% at tops is able to prosper and live ongoing, happy, amazing lives. Where in a resource-based economy where we share our resources with one another, so everybody has food, everybody has shelter, everybody has education, everybody has healthcare, so on and so on, that instead of having 4 or 5% prosper, you can have 94 or 95 or 96% prospering, and hopefully up to 100%. Well, that's all I got to say about that. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting the Endless Mountain channel, and have yourself a magnificent day, everyone. Bye-bye.